If you're a Final Cut Pro editor and you want to speed up your editing workflow with hardware console, you probably have heard of the Loupedeck CT, and this thing has the potential to be really, really awesome. But if you already have one or you've been thinking about getting one, it has a huge learning curve. And it can take weeks, months, or in my case, a few years to really learn how to set up all your shortcuts and code snippets and all that, especially in the hands of CommandPost instead of the official Loupedeck software. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I set up my Loupedeck CT completely. It's taken me a couple years to really fine tune it, and I'm going to walk through every button. And then I'm going to show you how you can get this profile so you can just zoom past the learning curve and get this starter profile ready to go. And then at the very end of the video, I'm going to show you how to install everything so you know how to get it all done in just a few minutes and then get started. So let's go. So let me give you a little introduction to my journey with the Loupedeck CT and how I ended up creating this profile. So I got this a couple years ago, and I've been using Final Cut Pro 10 since the day it came out. I feel like I can do it with my eyes closed, but there's a lot of shortcuts that take, I don't know, 3-4 finger stretches in order to get it done, and I really wanted a hardware console to speed things up. And I settled on a Loupedeck CT, and it was seemed like a good decision. It has enough buttons and layout, it has a jog wheel. And as soon as I got it, I tried the Loupedeck app, and that was a little limiting. So then thankfully there's CommandPost, which opens up the world of Final Cut shortcuts. But it's a little tough to get started with it. What shortcuts do I use? How do I set it all up? All the different banks. So I got some icon sets, and they give you like 600-800 icons, and the Loupedeck just gets filled with pretty much anything you can do in Final Cut in the hardware console, which is not what I wanted. I wanted just the main things that I use regularly in day-to-day that I can speed up with some hardware buttons. And there's really nothing out there that gave me like the head start. So I created this thing and I fine-tuned it over a few years, and I got some editor friends to help me hone in on the buttons that really sped up workflows, and I finally got it. I also decided to use text icons instead of pictures. I found that text was much quicker to identify what the button is rather than trying to remember another icon. So yeah, it was great. And then I released it. I put it on website, and like a month later, Loupedeck came out with a new version that really frustrated a lot of people. It wasn't working. A lot of things broke basically. And then Final Cut came out with version 11, and then CommandPost came out with a new version to start working more with Final Cut 11 and Loupedeck. And so I went back to the drawing board, and I recreated much of the shortcuts, and just released a new version that I think is great. So basically what I came up with is 4 banks: edit, general edit, motion, keyframing, things like that, audio editing, and then color grading or color correction. And then bank 4 you can set up to use either color board or color wheels depending on what you prefer. And so within these 4 banks, there's some shortcuts, there's knobs to do some cool stuff, and then we have the bottom half of the Loupedeck CT that are like the global settings. And I'm trying to make it so that I don't have to relearn hundreds and hundreds of buttons every time that I change banks. So these are pretty much global for all 4 banks. All these buttons below here, except for the wheel on the color grade, does a little something else. So anyway, I'm going to go through each of these buttons as quickly as I can and just show you what they all do, and then I'll show you how you can get started with this profile too. Okay, so let's go through the bottom half of the Loupedeck CT. The wheel, that what that does is move the playhead 10 frames forward and backwards. If you press FN and use the jog wheel, it actually zooms in and out, which is pretty cool. And then these 2 areas to the side of the icons, you can actually use those thanks to CommandPost to increase or decrease the height of the clips. And you can use the right one to increase how much the audio portion of the clip takes up. So really quick way to edit your change your layout and to go forward and backward, and to zoom in and out. Then A is to select, B is for blade tool, and C is for trim, and D is for range select. And then if you do FNB, that actually blades through everything uh, in the playhead, which is pretty cool. If you do FNC, that actually cuts, it trims to the playhead. So let's see if I can do this here. Trim to the playhead. And E is to play pause. And I actually like this as my my method of editing. I have my thumb on the E for play pause, and then I move the playhead left and right. I zoom in and out and press play pause. Also, I forgot to say the jog wheel. You can also double tap to two fingers to tap to play pause, which is pretty cool. On the left side here, the O is to create a storyline with 2 or more clips. So if we have 2 clips here and we select this, then it creates a little storyline. The arrow here, it connects whatever's in your browser to the top of the timeline. So we have here. And then FN arrow is to connect to the end of the timeline. And FNO is to create a compound clip. So this creates a storyline, but you can also select multiple clips and create a compound clip really easily. Undo is undo, easy. FN undo is redo. Save is to save a snapshot of your project. So if I click save, it actually saves a snapshot really quickly. Nice, quick way to save what you're working on. And then the keyboard icon is for enabling and disabling the clip. The left FN and keyboard is to silence the audio. So if I want to silence the audio, there we go. I'm going to undo that. And then we have these buttons 1 through 8. And 1 is endpoint. So if I'm going in to the browser and I have a bunch of clips, I can set 1 for the endpoint, 2 for the out point, and 3 to favorite. Really quick way to set your favorite clips. So 1, 2, 3. And then if you do FN 1, 2, and 3, those actually choose the multicam angle. So if you are editing multicam, then if I do FN1, FN2, it changes the clip that you want to use. Pretty cool. And so 4 is copy, 5 is paste, and FN5, right FN5 is to paste attributes. So I can copy a clip here, 4, and then I can click on another clip and I can paste attributes really quickly. 6 is to insert a gap at the playhead. It even looks like a little gap right here in the icon, which is cool. And right FN is to lift from storyline. So if I want to lift something from storyline, there we go. I'm going to undo that. 7 is delete. There's a little delete icon, so super easy. Just delete that gap. And 8 is to show video animation, which is really handy. So I click on a clip and I can see the video animation. Let's zoom in here. And then hide the video animation. FN8 is to expand the audio. So also handy. All right, so that takes care of the global controls. And now we're in the edit bank. So let's go over the shortcuts really quick. We have stabilize. Stabilizes the clip. That's for me at least, I use that quite a bit because I'm so shaky when I shoot. Basic title adds a basic title. Open clip, really nice way. You can't do that with any other shortcuts in Final Cut. You can open the clip and see the meta view of the clip, which is really nice. Sometimes you want to change the audio, remove some audio, channels from a clip, and you can open it up that way. Auto speed, what that does is it takes a clip and conforms it to the speed of the project. So if you have a slow-mo clip, you can select the auto speed button and it conforms it. So if I do auto speed, it will conform it to 80%. Pretty cool. And then conform, that's for if you have clips that aren't the right aspect ratio, that'll stretch it. Okay, so if I have some images and I want to edit it really quick with Ken Burns, again, I can use the conform button and that'll stretch the image out. I'm going to undo that. Or I can select Ken Burns and it opens up the Ken Burns crop editor, pre-selects the start and end for you that you can edit and fine tune, and then you click done. And you can just go through each image and create the Ken Burns effects for it really quickly. Adjustment layer, that adds an adjustment layer, and I know there's lots of free adjustment layers out there. I just created my own for this profile kit. So and then 1.5x zoom, that's a custom shortcut too, in order to give yourself a little jump cut. So if you have an interview clip, and let's say that we want to jump from one clip to another with a little bit of a zoom in, then I just click on the clip and do 1.5x zoom, and boom, I have a jump cut. Then the knobs, so like I said, the right and left here, that can zoom in your timeline, increase the height of the timeline and then the height of the audio compared to the video portion. But then we have 6 knobs here, and the left knob here is for film strip view versus list view. So in the browser, I can toggle between film strip view and list view. And then if I turn right, I can stretch the length of the film strip view. Toggle left, I can compact it. Nudge frame, this does exactly what I think it does. It nudges the clip left and right by 1 frame. And then we have crossfade. So this is really handy if you want to create a crossfade and then tweak the duration of the crossfade. So if I'm going to zoom in here, I can show you what that looks like. So I just put my playhead between 2 clips and I click crossfade, and it creates the crossfade, and now I can make it longer or shorter. It's pretty cool. Retime clip, if I want to retime a clip, I can select it here. Pressing it resets it to 100. And then I can turn right, left to increase or decrease the speed of the clip. Really, really easy and fast. So here's another clip here. We can just turn this right, and that'll make it so it's slower, left, faster, and then press on the knob to reset. All right, now we have add marker. Does exactly what you think it does. It adds a marker at the playhead. And then if you turn the knob, you can go to the previous markers. Really quick way to get between your edit points. And then audio level, exactly what it does is I can increase the audio of the clip by 2 dB up or down by turning left or right. So that's bank 1. Bank 2, we can do some cool things with really quick keyframing. So the knobs are for position. So position left, right. Here's a title that you can move around. Position left, right. Position Y, up, down. We have crop top, and that's good for animating too. Crop bottom. And then we have crop left and crop right. And so what's really nice is with one of these shortcuts, if I want to do a quick animation, I can. So what I'm going to do is show video animation, make sure that transform is highlighted, and I'm going to add a keyframe. And now I go to the start of the animation and I change the position to here, for example. Now I've made a very quick animation, a fun one too. So that's the motion bank. We have auto speed, which I showed you before. Basically takes the clip that you have and it conforms it to whatever its basic speed is. Its original speed is. Conforms it to the project. Then we have the blade speed, and some people like the blade speed editor. Then I have the blade speed editor thing. So yeah. Grow Shrink. This is actually an Alex 4D plugin. Really handy. I use it all the time for a quick motion to whatever, titles to a video, anything. So for example, here's my movie title. If I do Grow Shrink, it adds the Alex 4D slight animation to it. Bounce, I created this also custom for this profile. It basically bounces the element in. So again, if I have a title, for example, I can bounce it in. Same thing with video clips, so like that. I don't know if you caught that. Yeah, there you go. So it's handy. There's also there's a better bounce plugin that I recommend in the guide on the website that I think is a little bit more elegant than this, but it works for quick edits. So yeah, keyframe, delete keyframe, previous keyframe, next keyframe. So if you do have the um, editor here with keyframes, let's say you have a couple keyframes, you can go between them. You can delete them. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the audio bank. So in the audio bank, we have some shortcuts and knobs. So shortcuts, pretty simple. We have show lanes, so you can see dialogue, music, and effects lanes, and you can assign a clip to be music or effects. I'm gonna undo that and hide lanes. And then you have voice ISO, and that basically toggles Final Cut's voice isolation, which is a really nice and quick way to um, improve your audio. Undo that. You have music EQ, which I created. Essentially, is a fat EQ shortcut to decrease a music beds to allow more room for the human voice. And then we have J cut and L cut. Really nice ways. If you just put your playhead in between two clips and you press L cut, you will see very quickly that an L cut is created. And then I'm going to undo that and do the same for J cut. Again, put your playhead in between two clips, press J cut, and there you go. So that's pretty cool. And then for the knobs, we have adjust volume. That is your system volume. And then you press it to mute. Then we have the range level. And what that is a really quick way to edit your audio. Select a range and decrease or increase the level. So if I'm going to press range level, selects my range tool. And then now I can really just select a piece of the clip and increase or decrease the range. So yeah, super quick, easy way to edit audio. The next knob here is key level. So if I press key level here, then what happens is it adds a keyframe. And watch this, if I turn it left, then it decreases the audio at that keyframe. So what I can do is don't even have to press the keyframe button. I can just go along and increase and decrease by turning the knob as I'm going, and it'll create a keyframe and it'll increase or decrease the level. So really, really handy way to remove peaks, increase some of the low levels of a clip. I mean, these two buttons alone, I think, are worth the price of the Loupedeck CT. I use this all the time. On the right here, we have subframe audio, more fine-tuned audio. We have add marker, just like the edit bank, sorry. And then we have the clip level that controls the level of the entire clip. Quick way to add or subtract 2 dBs. And we have, if you press this button here, that actually creates a audio only crossfade, kind of like that old plugin sound only. If I select two clips and I press this, what that will do is create a fade in, fade out, and it'll crossfade the audio tracks. So between J cut and L cut and pressing the right bottom knob for an audio crossfade. I feel like you have really, really quick ways to combine two clips together with a dissolve, and then you have fine tuning the levels with range and key levels. So that's the audio bank. Next, we have the color bank, and by default, it goes to color boards, but I'm going to show you how to change this to color wheels. So shortcuts, let's go through shortcuts. We have balance, and balance, what that does is it applies the balance effect built into Final Cut. Match color, what that does is turns on match color, so you can select another clip and match. Broadcast, essentially that adds a broadcast save filter to whatever clip you have. Really handy to use with an adjustment layer. Custom LUT, yeah, that brings up the custom LUT effect. So you can choose a custom LUT that you have and apply it quickly. LUT off, if you have a camera that automatically applies a LUT in Final Cut when you bring in a clip, this is a quick way to turn that off. So really handy to basically go to this setting here where a LUT is automatically brought into Final Cut. So I just showed you how that works. I can select a clip. This is, I think, a C70 or C300, I forget, clip. And if I press LUT off, then it goes into the settings in Final Cut and immediately turns that off so I can apply my custom LUT. Adjustment layer, same as before, that adds an adjustment layer. Copy color, what that does is it copies the color settings from the clip before it and then pastes it to this clip. So if we have this clip, for example, and exposure is way down, then what I can do is I can copy color and it applies the color settings from the previous clip. So really handy as you're going along and color grading. You have something that's working for this clip, and then you go into the next clip, select copy color, and it basically just brings everything into that. Workspace, that's to give you the color grading workspace. And if you want to go back to reset your workspace, you can do FN and default workspace. So really handy for the shortcuts. For the knobs, for color board, essentially what this does is exposure high, so that increases or decreases the highlights for exposure. And next we have exposure mids, so same deal, but for mids, and then we have shadows exposure. And right here we have saturation high, so that will change your saturation levels, saturation mids, and saturation shadows. And like I said before, the only time that the bottom half of the CT changes for these banks is the color bank. So now if I turn this knob left or right, that controls global exposure. And if I do FN and I twist the knob here, that's global saturation. So that is color board. And if you want to switch to color wheels, then what you can do temporarily, let's say, you can do FN and switch to the color wheel. So now if I edit the same clip and I turn the knob, what that does is it starts to change the exposure, mids, and shadows in a color wheel. Same thing with saturation. And here we have the global, and we have global saturation, and left FN actually is temperature, something that color board doesn't have. So that's the color wheel. And if you want to make it so that your bank 4 is color wheel and not color board, we can just do that in CommandPost. That's it for the 4 banks. Again, it took me, I don't know, 2 years to fine tune this along with some editor friends that helped me. And I do feel like this is a really good start for really, really fast Final Cut Pro editing. But of course, you can customize any part of it to your liking. And once you have a starting point like this, it's much easier to start to change this or that icon or this knob or button. So I'm going to show you how to get this profile and also how to install and edit some things in a moment here. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to get this profile so you can start editing with your CT right away. and how to install CommandPost and get started with it. So first things first is if you have Loupedeck app, the official app, it is useful for general shortcuts and other apps. But for this purpose, if you want to use Final Cut with CommandPost, you need to turn it off. So the Loupedeck app, you basically need to quit it. So we'll do that here. And the profile that I developed, I have under my this site that I put up, fcpxprofile.com, and it has some marketing stuff, frequently asked questions, and then I put my entire installation guide here, including just a quick 5-minute install instructions. This is the same one that you get via PDF with the profile. And yeah, this walks you through all of the different shortcuts that I have and how to edit them if you want to and customize them. For CommandPost, what you want to do is once you download the profile, you do need to install you install CommandPost, and then there's a Final Cut Pro keyboard command set that you install because some of these buttons actually trigger keyboard shortcuts in Final Cut in order for it to work. And then there's some effects that you can drag into your movies folder. And with CommandPost, once you open it up, you go to Control Surfaces and you go to Loupedeck CT. And I'll open this up here. Here's what that looks like. So you have a few checks that you have to make sure toggle on. Enable Loupedeck CT support, automatically switch applications. This button, the preview selected application, this toggle, what that does is it shows you the layout on your console, on your CT, even if you don't have Final Cut Pro open. Nice way to preview it. And then some other backlight settings if you want. Then we have banks, and as you can see, there's a ton of banks. You only need 4 based on this profile. But you do have FN left and FN right banks. So if you want to customize FN left during the first bank, FN right during the first bank, then this is where you do that. And then you have all of the different actions that you can customize, and you can change the vibration, you can change the icons. I've included all that in the profile. So to import, all you got to do is import settings. Make sure that application Final Cut Pro selected, import settings, go to replace rather than merge, and then select the profile and install it, and bam, you'll have this profile ready to go. And then you can start to go through each icon, each knob, jog wheel, button, anything you want to do. Play around with the different actions. Give yourself a different thumbnail if you want. I did include the Photoshop templates if you want to use these same icons, same colors, stuff. But create your own icons, you can do that. And encode snippets. Some of these knobs specifically have custom snippets. You can see what that looks like. It's developed in language called Lua. You don't have to know how it works, but if you want to see, so you want to program your own snippets, you can do that here. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for Loupedeck CT, Final Cut Pro, and CommandPost. Again, this is the profile that I developed, fcpxprofile.com, and you can get it here from this website. I also blogged about the recent update. You can contact me if you have any questions. That's pretty much it. Hopefully this has been a short enough video that I didn't drag on too much, but at least it gives you a preview of how all these buttons work with this profile and Final Cut Pro and CommandPost. Thanks a lot.